What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Gary Russell Jr. Get this. Gary Russell Jr. states that the pound-for-pound list is a popularity contest, and it's not based upon skill. Gary Russell Jr. is content with his self-awareness that he is among the most talented boxers in the world today. The hope is that his latest WBC featherweight title defense versus mandatory challenger Mark Magsayo, 23-0-16, will serve as an industry-wide reminder of what he specifically brings to the ring. He says, "What I can say is, to the people who had the opportunity to watch me compete, in most cases, they will say my skill set is special." Russell noted during a recent Zoom meeting that when asked about his name being absent from pound for pound, he said it's second to none. As far as a pound for pound list, I don't pay the pound for pound list any mind. The pound for pound list is a popularity contest. It's based upon who is more popular. It's not based upon skill. If it was based on skill, Gary Russell would already be there. Let me counterpunch. The pound for pound list, is it based on skill or is it based on popularity? I think he has a point in some, to the degree of popularity, because most people on there are popular, but I think what it is, they're popular for winning. You know what I mean? I think it's more than that. I think Canelo Alvarez is a guy that just happens to be there, but I mean, he's happened to be there because he's kicked every ass there. Okay. And he's the cash cow, and he's the most successful. Whereas you have guys like Terrence Crawford, which, he doesn't sell tickets like that. So he's not as marketable. That's what Bob Arum was bitching and pissing and moaning about, right? So he's there. So that doesn't hold weight. There's not the popularity contest with him. Alexander Usyk, he's became more popular over the last few months, but people knew who he was that respected him in a hardcore boxing circle wise discussion. But he's not that guy that's just all that popular. Okay, so I don't really think that's the case. For Gary Russell, I think he could be there if he gave a damn, which I think if he was placed on that list, I think he would acknowledge, hey, I am pound for pound. A lot of people that say, hey, I don't care about certain things, is because they don't have it and they're already content without it. And my main concern about Gary Russell Jr., I'm glad that he's getting a fight, against, Magsayo, and everything, an undefeated fighter. But I think that Gary Russell should be farther along in his career, and I wonder how the hell does he make it, because he is a guy that, believe it or not, man, you don't really see him a lot, to be real with you. I mean, if you look at his record, okay, we're going to look at Gary Russell Jr.'s record real quick. And this man, he's going to fight on the 22nd of this year. Thank God, because he fought February of 2020. He didn't even fight last year, okay? May of 2019 before that, May of 2018 before that, May of 2017 before that. Dude, this dude fights one time a year. And then I think what he's missing is, yes, I think that Gary Russell Jr. is probably one of the fastest boxers and fighters with the fastest hands we have. He throws sick combinations. He's vicious. He's mean as hell. And he's like a badger. He's mean as shit. You see them little mean motherfuckers, you don't mean they can't fight. You better watch out, because they might punch you in the face. Right? So, yeah, I mean, he can fight. He does have skills. We've heard the rumors of him and Terrence Crawford and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, he doesn't fight enough to be considered even to talk about being pound for pound, because he hasn't been proven, because he hasn't fought the guys that he's supposed to fight. The Devin Haney shit fell through. Gervonta Tank Davis fight didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these fights did not happen for Gary Russell Jr., and they could have. Or did they? I don't know. Ask Heyman about that. You know what I'm saying? But this man doesn't fight enough to be even considered for one, pound for pound, let alone pound for pound. But another mention, Gary Russell Jr. doesn't fight enough to really be legitimate, and if anything. You know what I mean? So I think he has to make himself more consistent. I think he's only had one loss, and that was to Lomachenko, and that's been a long time ago. I get it, but I think he should have been a lot busier than that. Okay, but I will say this: despite him not fighting, in long periods of time, he's still a savage beast when he gets in there, as opposed to most fighters. Most fighters get in there and they're rusty as shit. And somebody ends up upsetting them because they have the name and they have the skill, but they don't have the practice. Okay, they don't have the oil to the elbows. You know what I mean? They don't have the tune-up that they need, and they get in there with somebody else that beats them up. But Gary Russell Jr. is always fresh and sharp, so it shows you that he has a little bit of that Ruben Hurricane Carter in him, you know what I mean, when it comes to discipline and and keeping himself in shape with conditioning and so forth. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Gary Russell Jr. saying that the pound-for-pound list is only popularity, second to none, behind nothing at all. Of course, please subscribe, and you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.